Welcome back to Punch Drunk Nerd, the podcast where three friends, three amigos, three bambinos come together to talk about nerd shit. This week, it's two amigos, two bambinos coming together. Miguel is out right now, but he'll be back next week. And it's me, Luis Gonzalez, and with me is...
Ed Bull.
That's right, it's Ed Bull, everybody. Woo! So today's feature discussion, we're going to talk about Emilia Perez. It's the new Netflix movie that's coming out. But before we do that, let's talk about some news. And we have some huge-ass news coming in. The Superman trailer has released.
Yes.
Ed, what are your thoughts on the Superman trailer?
Well...
Oh, just kidding. Just kidding, guys. So we usually record this on a Wednesday. We know that the actual trailer comes out on our time when we're recording it tomorrow. So we're going to give some space to... we're going to record that later. We'll put it in the podcast afterwards. But before we talk about our trailer reaction, I wanted to talk about, we did see the teaser trailer.
Right.
We saw the teaser to the teaser.
Yeah. And we also got a poster
yes.
and I guess a taste of what they're doing with the score.
Yes.
Yeah. Exciting stuff.
It's exciting. Now, our opinions could completely flip when we cut to our phone call and we've seen the trailer. So, we're just going to talk about our initial reactions to it. Ed, I mean, this is the first time we're seeing anything. Let's talk about the poster first. Let's do in the order of when it was released. How about that?
I like that. So for the poster, I'll be honest, it looks like a Superman movie.
Yeah. I think it's a pretty poster.
I think so too. It's unique. It's bright. It's colorful. It's not bleak. Which unfortunately has been the case for Superman of the last 10 years. So yeah, I like it. I dig it's kind of got this look like he's soaring like at high speed, but also
it's got like a motion blur to it.
Yeah, but it looks very elegant too. It's not just like blurry for the sake of blurry. For the first poster, it looks pretty good, especially for a teaser. You get a bit of everything, and
I like the tagline, look up. It's simple but effective.
Yeah, you know exactly what they are referring to. It's not I dig it overall, honestly. It's
very colorful and it's very bright, also very alien-esque, the way that it's kind of put together. I feel like this thing hits on a lot of, it checks off a lot of the check boxes here. It's inspiring. It feels colorful. It feels alien. It feels artistic. It looks cool. It doesn't look bland.
It looks like an event.
Yes, it looks like an event. It knows what it's doing.
Exactly.
And, James Gunn was writing earlier about this movie.
Yeah.
I'm trying to pull out my little here. Oh, he said this. Let's see. When we spoke to Gunn on the set of Superman, he said he was pretty overwhelmed for a lot of reasons. I'm miserable, he said. Really? I'm miserable, but hopefully it's for the greater good. One of the reasons for that seemed to be the pressure he's putting on himself to make sure his version of Superman is great, because if it's not, there's no guarantee we'll see more DC movies after that.
Yeah.
There's a plan, one that involves Creature Commandos, Peacemaker, Supergirl, and others. But if Superman doesn't work, well, things could change very quickly. A lot is riding on Superman, he said. I mean, we're not going to just keep making movies.
Right.
That is, unless Superman is great.
I mean, I kind of agree with everything he just said. Too frequently, too recently, we are seeing so many universes that are just jumping into it without really having a full plan. And the first movie makes or breaks it. Going back to, I guess, Iron Man for the MCU, if that had been like a really bad movie, who knows what would have happened?
It would have bankrupted. They pulled a loan from the bank to make 3 or 4 movies.
And a lot was riding on Robert Downey Jr. too. Like, like if he had failed there, we would not be having the same conversations we've been having since then. But it's nice to know that they're taking it seriously. They're not just churning it out. I know that it is like a pet project of his. and we've had plenty of discussions about it, of what they could do with it, where they are going with it, or what James Gunn is going to do to it to make it a James Gunn film, like whatever that means to people.
I'm sure our future selves, when we see the trailer, will know a lot more about that.
Exactly. We could just be like eating our words right now. But, and we talked on our chat about the trunks. We've talked about on the podcast about the trunks. Like I'm pro trunks. I like the trunks in general for Superman. I think it is a part of that uniform. And James Gunn and David Corenswet had I thought a very appealing sentiment to or reason to have the trunks on Superman.
Yes. I have the quote here. It says, they had a conversation about, obviously the trunks. And he said, at the end of the day, it wasn't that heated. It was heated for a while. I was on the no trunks team for a long time.
Yeah.
This is James Gunn saying, I was on the no trunks team for a long time. And Zack Snyder said that when he was doing it, he tried a billion different trunk versions as we did. And I kept going back to no trunks, no trunks, no trunks. And I'm like, well, let's just grind it out. Let's see what happens with trunks and see wait, that's not the quote I was looking for.
Well, it leads up to that.
Oh, okay.
It leads up to that.
It leads up to this. So then David Corenswet said something to me that really affected me. We were trying on all these different versions and we screen tested with trunks and no trunks. And one of the things David said, David's playing Superman, is that Superman wants kids to not be afraid of him. He's an alien. He's got these incredible powers. He shoots beams out of his eyes. He can blow the truck over. He's this incredibly powerful, could be considered scary individual. And he wants people to like him. He wants to be a symbol of hope and positivity. So he dresses like a professional wrestler. He dresses in a way that makes people unafraid of him. That shows that. That really clicked in for me.
Yeah. I love that. I mean, like I said, if you're trying to put a reason to it, that is a plausible reason. But also, I think in modern day superhero films, we do get a little bit lost in how grounded things are and whatever, but we are talking about Superman, the most fucking flamboyantly colorful superhero of the superheroes, so it's okay to cartoon it up a little bit, they went with a choice with Henry Cavill's Superman. I think it worked for the most part, but they also made it super drab and dreary. And this, they're saying, Superman is a symbol of hope, and you want something colorful, bright, that pops, especially in his junk region. So, but no, I mean, I just admire that, again, these were conversations, and it wasn't just a simple, it looked good, it looked bad, or whatever. No, they talked it out, they hashed it out at every possibility. They weren't just trying to get rid of it.
I think there's a lot of care going into this, and in past history with superhero movie studios would just, but this is pre Kevin Feige, studios would just make blatant decisions without considering the audience, without considering the source, without considering really a lot of things. They'll just be like, nah, we don't like it. Now we do because it looks stupid.
What sells,
I'm thinking of the Wolverine.
Yeah.
What sells, what doesn't. We can't do that because it won't sell.
Yeah.
It's not toyetic enough. And here they're like, no, we're really thinking it. It's not just something off the cuff.
Yeah.
He also did a poll where it says trunks or no trunks, and trunks came out with 60% of the votes for trunks.
Nice.
I am team no trunks, to be honest. So I wasn't it's a little silly to me, but after hearing David's explanation for it, it has won me over a little bit more.
And we can see it in action concept too,
Yeah. I might not even realize it that he's wearing little undies.
It's not hey, look down here. It's just a part of an ensemble, and we've had little looks or on behind the scenes looks of his outfit, but nothing is going to be truer than when we see it in the film in action. Mm-hmm. So, who knows? I mean, we've talked about the suit a lot, and we're probably going to talk more about the trailer. So I need to stop doing it.
Yeah,
but. The suit in the poster, I know it's blurry, but it looks tight.
Exactly. We were talking about that in the initial reveal of the suit. It looked a little baggy, especially when he's putting on. Yeah.
So Okay, so poster check, trunks check. Luis, they also gave us like a little snifter, a little taste of the score, which again for Superman is such a defining characteristic. We know obviously from the original Superman movies, John Williams wrote the theme for that, and then later on Hans Zimmer, who gave his own rendition, but also a pretty banger one. Granted, they didn't use it to its best abilities throughout those movies, but it happened. And for me anyway, it stands alone, like on its own. I like that track. But what do you think about this one?
I think this is an incredibly difficult job that James Gunn has stepped into, and he has to balance the past and the future, and the fact that this is entering into a new era. So I think with as difficult of a decision that is, I think I like the score. It has reminiscence of like that iconic Superman theme song, but it also feels like the beginning of something. It doesn't feel like, because it has those chants up top. It's really like almost rolling out the red carpet. Here we go. It's building up. And then we will finally hear the full score with all the instrumentals later in the trailer in the movie. So I'm pleased with it. What about you? Are you digging it, or do you want something way more original?
See, but to your point, you're right. It is hard to let go of that. Like, one of the biggest things about any IP is, you don't have Indiana Jones without his theme. And I mean, that's mainly in part due to John Williams. Is like, God damn it, his music is so memorable.
It's so good. You can't just like replace it with something else.
It's defining. It's definitive. And so yeah, I think overall I dug it. Again, like seeing what they do with like action movies, like is there going to be a ongoing theme that they harken back to throughout? I mean, just this movie, or is it going to be a little more symphonic with kind of like Hans Zimmer does? Like Hans Zimmer does have themes, but he rarely goes back to themes. Like he doesn't have them as a recurring thing throughout his movies.
I felt like he used to do that in the 90s and early 2000s. I'm thinking Pirates, The Rock. What else do we have?
Themes,
Gladiator.
But like, if you listen to the whole track or the whole album of Man of Steel, very different tracks, and you really only have that banger that most people recognize right at the end. What are you going to do when you change, or when you're not saving the world? That's the name of the track. But that's the name of the track. So, and for me, like that could have been so iconic, but they just didn't lean into it that way. So I'm open to it. I like it. We were asking ourselves, like, how is he going to do it? Is he going to do it sentimental? Is it going to be fun and quirky? Or is it going to be, like, dead serious? Knowing James Gunn, it probably wasn't the latter, but it does seem to have, like, this kind of sentimental touch, echoing the past.
Yeah.
Definitely, again, pulling from John Williams' score, but I want to see where it goes. So it's got me curious, I guess.
I think, he isn't just all silly goofs. I mean, yes, he is, and that's all part of his DNA. But James Gunn can instill a lot of like vulnerability and humanness to something, and I think that's kind of his goal with this movie right now. Is like he wants to make it as human as possible, if that makes sense. Of like having a human heart with all of this fantastical stuff and using that vehicle to tell a human story. The composer here is British. No, he's not British. He's British. John Murphy. He's British. He's from Liverpool. Ed, what do we think about Liverpool?
Oh, don't get me started. I've actually never been. Even as small as a country it is, I never made it that far north. So Liverpool. They have a good football team. What can I say? Well, not right now, but they do.
Known for, We talk. Well, I just wanted to talk about some of the past things that he's composed. He's done a lot of James Gunn stuff. Guardians, Suicide Squad. Okay. But other stuff previously, he did Kick-Ass. He did 28 Weeks Later, Sunshine, 28 Days Later. And then just kind of a few other things in between here and there. But Yeah, he's not a composer that I know too much
I mean,
about.
out of all of those, the one thing that spoke out to me was the sound, the score for Sunshine. I remember liking that one. So, okay.
The movie Millions with that little kid in the front of the poster. He's like a tiny kid. The perfect score. And I think that's all. Like I think that's all like Frontline. So it's going to be interesting. Usually, I can kind of tell, like, oh, well, he's played this kind of music before. This is what we'll expect, but this one's going to be really unique.
Yeah.
We've been speculating about this. Let's just jump into the conversation after we've seen the trailer.
Starting now.
Okay, guys, and we are back, and we have Miguel with us. We just watched the Superman trailer. I know I watched it like 20 times. Miguel, Ed, did you guys watch this multiple times like I did?
Yeah, I did. Hi, it is Miguel. I am here just for this one bit. Yeah, I did. I've been super busy all week. I had a super busy day, but I made time on my lunch break to watch it. And I thought, okay, I'll watch it real quick one time. And the next thing I know, it was like 5, 6, 7 times. This was. I kept getting sucked into this trailer. It was a lot of fun.
Ed, did you watch? How many times did you watch this trailer?
I didn't count, but maybe like 5 times.
Yeah. I think that's all. Suffice to say that maybe we all enjoyed the trailer. I know I watched the trailer and I've watched it many times, and I've been getting like, I don't want to admit it, but I feel like I've been getting goosebumps on this trailer and almost kind of getting emotional near the end.
I mean, talk about the theme of like hope. Like they captured that feeling so beautifully in the music, in the shots. Like halfway through the trailer, I was hooked. I was like, okay, that like iconic shot of, I don't want to take away all the talking points, but the one that there's 2 moments that sold me, but the iconic shot of him, like, it's in the comics, it's a train. He like lands in front of a train and he stops the train and the boy's on the track, and that was very reminiscent in this shot where it's like a kaiju or something. The girl or whoever was about to get attacked, and he like slams down and catches her. And I was just like, whoa, okay, that was a really great shot. I was super into it. And there's another moment I'll talk about in a minute, but I don't want to take up too much of the time.
There's like when they put like a wide angle lens on it and they're swooping around and Superman punches outside the glass. Glass.
Oh yeah.
And then just a lot of like Lex Luthor looking menacing and just great acting from him. I mean, that's like a moment wherein if you weren't locked in, once that shot hits up, you're like, I'm in.
I'm here trailer. Now. Yes.
Yeah. Ed, what were your thoughts when you watched it?
It definitely feels like a comic book movie, and I mean that in the sense of like they're throwing a lot at you with multiple characters doing different things. These big monsters, like they're really throwing everything into this, which usually would be like a little daunting, but knowing James Gunn, he's kind of just like already intermingling worlds and just kind of setting up that world and what we are going to be expecting. But overall, I did like the feeling. There were like a few moments, especially the opening. I feel like that was the opening with the dog. It was a lot. There was just like a lot going on. It was a lot happening in that trailer, from the dog to Lex Luthor, all these other villains, I guess, ? There's like a robot that he's cradling, and I will say all the action looks pretty good. I want to see more of him flying, but maybe they're saving that for, something else. But,
I don't know. Once you've seen, just to that point, like once you've seen a character fly in these movies,
no, it's not the same.
It's like, I've seen it all, No. I've seen Superman fly in a million movies. Like, I get it, I'm more interested in like the character, and you were wrong for bringing that up, Ed. No.
Hey, I'm all about the flying. That is like one of the biggest things about Superman for me, anyway, and luxuriating in that power of flight. And
Of all of his
like
powers, that's the one you really resonate with?
hell yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
And like when Henry Cavill did it, it was just like a blurry CGI mess, and you just didn't really, enjoy it. Like Superman Returns did it all right.
Wow.
But yeah, it's a fine line, and you want to relish both that and the other stuff too. Like that scene that you were describing, Miguel, that was also very cool. It's just like this. Obviously, so much hangs on this. It's just like I hope everything lands the way he's hoping. I didn't personally get emotionally involved with the trailer.
Wow.
I kind of rolled my eyes at the guitar kind of tune.
Fuck you. No,
Yeah, dude,
that was so cool. I was into
I liked it
and
too.
then when the music shifts to like the more of
to
the
an
theme,
orchestra.
yeah,
Mhm.
I was like, whoa, okay, you're hooking
Yeah, I
me.
did like the shift towards the end.
thing-
Yeah,
the thing that made me emotional about, and Louis, I'm sorry, I don't mean to talk over you, but the thing that made
No.
me emotional was the little boy. He's obviously like in this like war-torn environment, and he's like quietly almost praying to himself like Superman. And
He's on
like
for
Superman can
with that
hear,
flag.
he can hear all around the world. And that's such a powerful moment for me where it's like there is someone in need, and all over the world, they know that they can call on Superman,
Yeah.
And it's like,
yeah,
whoa, he is kind of a big character. He is this like otherworldly hero. And when they start chanting Superman also, it's just
yeah.
like, oh, I'm
I did
getting
like that.
chills, like that was really good.
Yeah.
And then,
And
yeah,
to the
like,
counterpoint.
sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just saying to the counterpoint of that, at the beginning of this trailer, we see how like people are looking down at Superman, and so
Yeah.
you get to have that little arc in this little trailer, and just seeing both sides of it, and it was really cool.
I gotta say, I watched the trailer enough times today that I think I can stand by it now. This is not a knee-jerk reaction. I think this may be one of my favorite trailers of all time. Like, I think it's gonna go. I think it's gonna go on like a top 5 list for me.
Yeah.
I think it was really well done. It does give me hope. I'm gonna keep saying that. I mean, I couldn't believe how hopeful I felt about not only like the message they were getting across about Superman, but also just like, oh, this does kind of look like a good movie.
Yeah.
And to Ed's point, when Ed said it looked like a comic book movie, I feel like that was such a really apt description in a good way. Like,
Yes.
Yeah,
they're comic
meant
book
it as
movies,
a good thing.
CBMs, right? They've
Yeah.
just become a very like genre movie, but this feels
Pulpy,
like a true like love of
Yeah.
comic books.
I
it's
think it's like.
embracing. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying. I think it's very. It could be hokey, but it's very earnest and honest, and it has these
Yeah.
very like genuine and vulnerable moments that
Yeah.
when you match that up with all the bright colors and all the
Yeah.
superheroes and the world building, and you say, hey, this is a fantastical world with a fantastical protagonist. Like, it doesn't mean we're all going to be like everyone.
Yeah, they
is
take
like,
it seriously.
They take it seriously. There are
But not-
there are real emotional stakes.
Yes.
With everything that happened. I mean, like a dog is pulling a man at super speed. Like, what an insane thing to say. But
And
when you see it happen, you're like, holy
Yeah.
shit,
I
I'm
was-
emotional right now.
I was worried about that damn dog. I was like, oh, fuck, that sounds so stupid. But then, god
Yeah.
damn it, that dog showed up, and it was like, okay, I get it. A little CGI, but it's like, okay, he's like cartoony in
A
a
little
way.
CGI. Like that's
But
my only
I
thing.
think you can give it a little bit. For me, I give it a little
We got
bit
more
of a break
time.
this time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tell you what, though, talking about emotions, like I thought the last shot of Lois Lane, they're like
Yes.
it pans up to her hugging him, and not going in for like the kiss, the superhero kiss. There was something so just like gentle about her hugging him, like she was really wishing whatever is about to happen that he's going to be okay.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, I am hooked on this movie already. So
Same. You see like their love and how almost like in the background, it's all that danger stuff is exploding and they're still kind of connected. And so it just shows to you like this is going to be hopefully like a story about love and connection.
Stakes.
Yeah.
And stakes. Yeah, like I can't even imagine what this trailer would like. If you had this trailer made by Fox or Sony, it would have been like doo. Here, whoa, that guy's fast.
I mean,
look out.
We were joking in the text chat the other day about like, what do we think we're going to see in this trailer? And even though I think we nailed some of those moments, we were like, obviously you're going to see this as this. It just didn't feel super generic, you know? It felt like, okay, they're working at making this a good film. So
yeah.
Yeah, I'm into it. I kind of want to see more, don't want to see more, but I'm more intrigued to see this movie now.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I think like I said, he's doing something on a grander scale that we maybe haven't seen specifically with Superman before.
Yeah.
I just hope, because there is a lot going on, I just hope he's able to balance it all out and it's not too overwhelming, and like the world building is there, but it does look good. It does look good. I was like, each moment that they showed, I was like, "Ooh, that's interesting. Ooh, that's cool." So like, I am here for it. It just like maybe one or two things, like nitpicky things that I was like mad about. What did you guys think about the kind of the cinematography of it all? Just real quick.
I was dogging on the teaser a little bit, and I think the internet was also kind of chiming in. And it's so funny because, like, the cinematography and the color grade has always been this talking point for Zack Snyder films, being like desaturated, too blue, like not colorful enough. But and I talked about like the blooming effect in the other teaser, how everything was a little bit blown out and all that stuff. But watching this trailer, it feels like I'm not mad about the cinematography. I think it all fits the feeling and vibe of like a comic booky world. It feels colorful. It feels bright. But then there are these moments where things are a little bit dark. Like I'm thinking of like that extreme close-up shot of Lex Luthor, and the light's a little bit dimmer and darker and contrastier. You have that cool shot of him saving the girl, like all in a wide-angle lens, and it's sweeping around, making it feel like inspiring. And it still feels a little bit blockbuster. I mean, I think this is like he has a hard task of doing many different things, of making this like being a good movie, but also a blockbuster movie, but also like something new, but also something different, and also something like we've seen before. I didn't mind it so much as I thought. Like I was ready to fight this movie, and after watching it, I was fine.
You're ready to fight for it.
Yeah, I'm ready to fight for it, baby.
Let's go.
Hope.
6 months. Hope. I gotta say one thing. So you guys, I think there was one really cool shot of Lex Luthor. Okay, it was in I think the second time, and I think it's in like a voiceover that the kid says Superman. Is that shot of Lex Luthor holding the gun, and he kind of like rolls his eyes. And it's obviously that's not the same scene, but it was a really great way of showing Lex Luthor hates Superman. Like he doesn't. It was just such a really, really quick, beautiful moment of expressing so much hate. And then the next shot, it pans over to like Superman busting out of the glass or whatever. But I really liked that. The world is calling for him, and Lex Luthor is like, fuck him. I love it. I love a rivalry. I would say this, though. Oh, sorry, Ed, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You're finishing.
No, I just want to say, I have been, you guys know me, have been saying a lot about Nicholas Hoult of late. I think he could have been Batman, the Robert Pattinson Batman. I think he could have been.
Wow.
I know you guys dogging me a lot about that because y'all don't agree. I get it. I think he maybe could have been Superman, but I think more so Batman. And then he finally lands the role of Lex Luthor, and I gotta say, I don't quite like the look of him, man, as Lex Luthor.
Oh, really?
No, really?
I felt actually more convinced of him as Lex Luthor after watching this trailer than
I'm gonna tell you right now. This is gonna sound bad, but man, he just does not look good in a bald head. I was like, man, that does not.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I think his bald head kind of emphasized his eyebrows, which are so pointed.
Sure.
He kind of looks like that Lex Luthor comic book look. You know what I mean? Like, if anything, it works because everything else feels so comic booky in the trailer.
Sure.
Like bright, colorful, costumey. And he's a part of that, like with the gun swirling and he's like wearing a black and white suit in that shot, I think. No, I think the eyebrows work great with the bald head. Actually,
Yeah.
I guess
what would have been
we're
I think it would
destined.
have been.
It's destined to be Luis and Ed against Miguel on Nicholas Holt for the rest of our lives.
Over the Nicholas
I like
Cole.
Nicholas
Okay,
Cole.
hold on. But
No, I know you do.
what about Clark Kent's hairdo as like, broccoli
I tell you
boy?
what, they're gonna make fun of it. I get it. The internet's gonna make fun of it, but fuck it. They're doing something that like relates to kind of a more modern day goofy haircut, And
Yeah.
Yeah.
I say fuck it. I heard him do his Clark Kent voice in a TikTok just earlier today, and they're going for like a super deep Clark Kent voice, and I love it. So I would love to hear more from his Clark Kent persona. I thought the look was good. Sorry, hang on a second. My wife's calling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry. Those are basically all my thoughts. I got to kind of wrap up here.
Yeah, no, I like it. It's definitely a look where it's like you always think like, oh, how can people not tell that's not Superman? But here it's like, oh no, you can definitely like not tell.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ed, anything else you were going to say something?
I have no more thoughts. I'm gonna watch it. I'll watch it a couple more times, and we can argue about it on a reel or whatever. There's going to be more trailers, more footage to come.
Are you guys going to watch the next trailers? I guess we can end it with that.
Yeah.
Are you going to see? Okay.
Yeah, I probably will because I'm having a good time with it, and I don't think I'm going to have too much spoiled for me unless it's going to be like another some sort of ridiculous 3-minute long trailer or something. I was like, I don't know, but
like the third trailer or whatever.
I won't watch.
But
yeah,
I want to watch the first main trailer.
Yeah. Same here.
No, I mean this match with the Penguin and the Batman. I mean, listen, DC. What's are they coming up now? But we'll have to see. Thank you, Miguel, for quickly jumping on this call.
Love you guys.
We couldn't talk about this without you, man.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, that was the trailer. Listen,
my.
I can't believe we said all those things. So enough Superman. Let's talk about another movie that's coming out from DC, Clayface. Ed,
Hey.
Clayface. It's going to be written by the guy who did what's it called? Why am I forgetting? The Haunting of Hill House.
The Haunting of
Bly Manor.
The
Midnight Mass.
Keep it going.
Yeah. Keep it going. We got
House of Usher.
He did the sequel.
The House of Usher.
House of Usher. He also did the sequel, Dr. Sleep.
Oh, that's right. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And his name is Mike Flanagan. There we go. I was stalling.
No, you're good. Yeah. Interesting turn of events. Luis, I gotta say, with the Penguin, the turning out of the James Gunn projects, and then the announcement of Clayface. The last maybe 2 weeks, I've just kind of been more irritated that Matt Reeves has not fucking finished the Batman script.
Yeah.
As we already know, we're waiting until 2026 for that fucker. They're supposed to start shooting next year. They actually said something online today to the effect of they're wrapping it up. And they are for sure the script, and they are for sure going to start shooting early next year. But good God Almighty, I am just kind of I've seen more Penguin on screen now than I have the Batman.
Yeah,
and I'm just irritated.
1000%.
I'm a person who loved the Batman, but I just want 4 years is long enough. And I know I'm being greedy. It's only been 2 since the first one, and yes, I do want them to do it properly. But I'm just hey, Matt Reeves, stop getting distracted. But with that being said, I'm all on board for a live action Clayface. I feel like if there's anything that the Batman movies have lacked in the last 20 plus years, it's the more fantastical side of that character. I've been pretty vocal about wanting to see more characters like Man-Bat, Clayface, Mr. Freeze, Poison Ivy.
Yeah.
We could go back to those kind of things, and I feel like we were probably there 20 years ago, but the visual effects side of things, I feel like is more manageable now if that's what they're going for. But yeah, I think it's an interesting character. I'm not sure where they're going to place it between either Matt Reeves's universe or. Go ahead.
So it's going to be. They know it's going to be part of the DCU universe, which is like the main proper universe instead of Elseworlds.
I'm going to keep calling it the James Gunn one, but
yeah, the Gunn and then the other one, the Elseworlds. Yeah. When I heard that it was going, so I have so many thoughts about this thing. So many thoughts. One, I love Mike Flanagan, and I think he's the perfect guy to be making this movie. I think he's able to translate like horror with modern audiences, and it's worked. Yeah. Like we've seen his work, and it's effective at creating a mood and a vibe. I love that this could go into a direction of body horror, which would be really, really cool. The only thing is when I heard it went to the DCU, I was like, oh no, now I feel like it's going to be like too blockbustery or too cartoony, too watered down.
That's what I was wondering.
I want it to be a DCEU. I want it to be Elseworlds. I want it to be its own thing that where he can just have the freedom to do what he wants to do. Yep. It feels grounded. It looks grounded. But then I started thinking, well, then, is Batman going to be involved? Are we going to have one of these like Sony Spider-Verse type of situations where we don't see Spider-Man, we just see the villain? Right. That puts a bad taste in my mouth because I've just seen all these terrible Sony Spider-Verse movies with villains in it. It seems like we can't capture villains correctly. Look at Book of Boba Fett. Like Cruella, all of these people are trying to, and I think Clayface can work because he has a tragic story, but it's just hard to jump on board for a big blockbuster-led villain movie. I think the Penguin kind of brought that hope back again, where it's like, okay, this is really good, and I'm into it, which is why I wanted it to be Elseworlds. But then it brings back the question: if we do have Batman, is it Robert Pattinson? Right. Is it the DCU
Who
Batman?
Does it intertwine
will we see the Batman? Yeah, will we see the Batman in this Clayface movie first? Or not?
Or is it going to be
so many questions?
Yeah, or is it going to be treated along the same lines as Joker?
Yeah. Oh, dude. I mean, if you have if it looks like the Joker, that grounded and not too bloomy or not too, I don't know, just fake looking. And I feel like the CGI is going to be fucking key here. Like, I want the clay to look like real fucking clay and not be like, well, it's CGI and they had to rush to put it in production and I get it. So let's just, give them the excuse of it. Like, no, let's take the time. We can make this look good. And
I think there's a way to mix practical and visual, like digital. Sorry. So no, I 100% agree. I think that is the one thing that I'm hesitant about is like, we are seeing so many of these kind of like, origin stories. And it goes back to what we were saying about Superman is like, it's all fine and dandy to announce these projects. But until that first movie comes out, in this case, Superman, I really don't know how they're going to intertwine it. And why would you jump from Superman and then Clayface kind of thing, like before you even announce the Batman for that universe? So it does. I get the way I looked at it, or just like when they announced that, I was like, okay, this is going to be maybe one of those things that are presented as a solo outing, only to making it its own standalone thing, but with the option of being able to bring it into the universe. Maybe like it's an isolated story, literally about Clayface, maybe not even crossing paths with Batman, and then it's out there for whatever storyline to pick up. Or
I mean that's what I mean. Like the Penguin gave this it crawled so this could run. Right. Like, hey, they could say, hey, the Penguin worked. We can do that that worked for the Elseworlds. Let's have it work for the main DC Studios. Let's go with, and I think Mike Flanagan is a type of the creator that gives me hope, and he's able to create dread and a very human experience. And he's not directing it though. I think there's still not a director that's been announced. He's just writing it because he has his own.
And I know Matt Reeves is technically a producer on it. I believe
for which one?
For Clayface.
For Clayface? Oh, whoa, interesting. So this is going back to the conversation of people speculating about putting Robert Pattinson in the DCU, which is just this is all so difficult to even. I don't want it, but it's difficult to understand without seeing Superman. Like everything, like James
Exactly.
Gunn is right. Everything depends on Superman.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as we see that trailer, we could just be like, "There's no way Robert Pattinson is in that." You know what I mean? Like, he's
Yeah.
not a part of
Yeah.
that world, and I'm okay with that. I just want the studios to acknowledge that before they start
Yes.
forcing things that aren't going to
And-
naturally mesh.
And maybe they brought Matt Reeves in as a producer because he did so well with the Penguin.
Right, and he
create a
seems to
villain-forward
be
story.
Yeah, he seems to be working that world out
Yeah.
right now. He obviously has a lot of intentions for a lot of characters, and he's invested. He's obviously taken the time to work on the story. So who knows? But yeah, it's an interesting prospect. It is a character that I am very fond of and would love to see a live action rendition of.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there's just like a lot shrouding it right now, from the studio element to the director element to the universe element.
Mhm.
A lot is gonna like this. A year from now, this whole project could be scrapped. You know what I mean?
1,000%. There's so many announced projects that could be scrapped. And I was thinking, like, for some reason, Robert Eggers came into my head as if someone who could direct a movie for the DC universe.
Yeah.
I thought, he could direct Clayface. But then I thought, you know what movie he would do really well would be Man Bat.
That's mine. Shh. We don't talk about it.
Don't tell anybody. Okay. James Gunn, come over at Punch Drunk Nerd. Let's get Ed on the ball
Perfect
here.
story. One
direct.
movie, in and out. Just let me do my thing. But no, I 100% agree with that. And you know what? I think I've talked about it on the podcast before, but when I watched Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula, that's how I knew that Man Bat has been possible for the last 30 odd years. Like, it is possible both with practical and digital effects, preferably with practical.
Mhm.
There's a way to do these things if you just give it the time. And also stop being scared of the fantastical in these worlds. Batman has just been so stuck in the nitty gritty for the last 24 years.
Let's go back to the gothic fantastical.
It doesn't have to be silly.
Mm-hmm.
It just like embrace the other elements of Batman. We don't want to keep seeing 100 variations of the Joker. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
Some fresh meat, you know? Like, but yeah, no, 100% Robert Eggers would be. Do you think he ever would? Do you think he would?
I don't know. I mean, it would be very cool.
Yeah.
I mean, you were saying, like, why are they doing this before the Batman? And I think James is like, hey, we're not going to make stuff unless they're ready to be made. So I think that could be intriguing and interesting for people.
Yeah.
Robert Eggers has a good deal with Universal Studios right now. You know, his first Universal Studios movie was The Northman, and this is now his second one, Nosferatu.
Yeah.
So if he keeps getting paid the same way that Christopher Nolan gets paid for his movies, then no, I don't think he'll leave. But maybe, who knows, if there's an opportunity.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? Let me tell you why. Because look, I'm going to talk about this next movie. Sergeant Rock, a movie and a character I've never heard in my life. But I'm talking about it now because this is going to be in the DC studios, James Gunn. And guess who is directing this movie?
Luca Guadagnino.
Oh, you know this already.
Sorry.
I didn't know this. This was like I heard about it today and I was like, I got to at least mention it on the podcast. This is insane. This is crazy to me.
And they were talking about even tapping Daniel Craig for the role.
Yes. Yeah. What the hell? Like this is wild. The Jeremy Allen White news, and this one is like, where did we come from? Just popping out of nowhere.
I'm not even familiar with. Yeah, I'm not familiar with Sergeant Rock. Is he above like the Batman or just like a random?
I don't know. I've never fucking heard of this guy in my life. Sergeant Rock. He was depicted in The Brave and the Bold.
Well, he is talking about making that, right? James Gunn.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, he is a fictional character. He first appeared in Our Army at War, 1959. Okay. The character is a World War II soldier who served as an infantry non-commissioned officer. Great. Okay. So I don't really know who this guy is. But that's crazy. Luca Guadagnino is going to be doing that. I feel like that's so random.
Well, to be fair, he is tied to like several projects right now.
Well, this one I know he's doing before American Psycho. This is his next project.
Well,
coming up.
no, he does. He has already one in the bag that is due to come out. And I don't know the name of it, so don't ask me. It's got Julia Roberts in it though, and Josh O'Connor, I believe. So yeah, I don't know the name of that, but yeah, I mean, as well as
Find Me. No. Wait. After the Hunt.
After the Hunt. Thank you. So yes, it's one of those things like I'll believe it when I see it kind of deal.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be great. I'd love to see Lica Guadagnino get his feet wet and some superhero
That's what I'm
shit.
saying. If he's jumping on board, why not
We
Robert
could
Eggers coming in here?
after the rocky last 10 years DC has had, we might be just witnessing the start of a new era.
I mean, you have Matt Reeves, you have, the director of the Joker, you have, what's it called?
Phillips.
Luca Guadagnino, you got Mike Flanagan. Thank you, I forgot. Mike Flanagan. You know, you have kind of these prestigious
you're talking about
creatives.
Yeah, and James Gunn might actually be embracing artistic input as opposed to the MCU, which has notoriously kind of been very single-sighted. This is our goal. This is what we're producing. This is what
to the point it pushes out directors like Edgar Wright.
Bring Edgar Wright in.
Yeah. Oh my God, an Edgar Wright. Yeah, let's put him in a DC movie.
Come on.
What movie could he do for a DC movie? Let's see. He could do The Flash. I bet if he redid The Flash,
Louise. Because he's got that twitchy editing style. I love that.
And it would work for the Flash is very youthful and kid-like, and so he could kind of incorporate that snap and pop
Here we go.
into it as well.
James Gunn, if you're listening,
hit us up. We hire Ed to do Man-Bat. Let's hire James. I mean, Ed, you're right.
Anybody who was hurt during the MCU years. Who were the other ones?
Scott Derrickson.
Scott Derrickson.
He dropped out of Doctor Strange.
But who the two Chris Miller and Phil Lord? Because didn't they originally? Oh no, they were doing Star Wars.
They were doing Solo.
Same thing, though. You know what I mean? It's
have you been hurt by
Disney? There you go. That would be cool too.
Yeah. Well, funny enough, they also got kicked off, or not kicked off, but they won't be heading the next Across the Spider-Verse movie or Beyond the Spider-Verse movie.
They didn't direct the last one too.
But they were involved.
I
think.
They're not. Are you saying they're not involved with the next one at all?
That's what I think. I think that's what I read in the news, just because I heard that they were very difficult to work with in the room, according to an insider.
Yes, I do remember that coming out.
Basically, from the article, it stated that people would work up these drawings or animations, and they would go, "Hey, what do you think about this?" And then they would say, "Well, can you complete it a little bit more?" Then they would present it to him, and then they would just scrap the whole thing, and they'd say, "Let's start it again. Let's do something else."
Come up with a new idea on the fly. They were basically editing that movie up until release, as I understood it.
And I feel like that's kind of a very Marvel-esque approach to things, and I feel like a lot of those top creators think it's okay. So hopefully, James Gunn is saying, "Hey, we're not going to be doing the things that we did in Marvel, where we did the pickups and stuff. We're going to take the time, and we're going to set everything up in pre-production." In the script before we go into production, so we're not changing and reshooting the whole thing afterwards.
And visual effects, story suffer because of it. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Clayface, Sergeant Rock,
Clayface
prospects coming soon, maybe.
So let's stop talking about the brown boy and let's start talking about a blue dog. Okay. Bluey, the movie is happening and it's heading to cinemas in 2027. Ed, did you put this in here?
And that's all we really know about it, but it's officially happening.
Okay.
And I'm here for it. Bluey's great. You guys know I went to go see the live stage show earlier this year, where I wept with joy. I mean, it was going to happen eventually, I'm sure. Bluey is very fruitful right now. And I mean, maybe in 3 years, the whole phenomenon will be over, but it was inevitable that a movie would come along eventually. And I know plenty of kids who are going to be up for that. I don't know. Lily's going to be 9. Shit.
In 2027.
Yeah, it might be too old by then, but I don't know.
Maybe at the very edge, that'll be the last goodbye childhood, enter into.
I guess Lawrence will be old enough, but yeah,
that's true.
Yeah,
crazy to read the words 2027 on here. It's like, wow, that's just.
That's a plan. They're announcing it, so maybe they haven't even written it yet. But
yeah,
no, I mean, it's a show that is consistently good. It's well written. It's effective. It's impactful. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. And I'm big enough of a fan right now, but I'll drag my family to go see it. So yeah, a little bit of happy news at the end there.
Yeah,
talk about hope. Look to Bluey.
Exactly. We have so that was our news segment. Let's go into trailer talk real quick here. We got 4 movies or 4 pieces of content that we could talk about. Nickel Boys. Ed, you put this one in here.
Okay.
I think you put all of these in here, to be honest. But
to be fair, I did. But I'll try and make them brief.
That's
Nickel
totally
Boys
fine.
is currently it's been sitting as a Oscar candidate all year, basically. This is based on a book by somebody I don't know, and it's a book I haven't read. But
it's based off a book by Colson Whitehead.
I just pulled it up too. And it chronicles the powerful friendship between 2 young African American men navigating the harrowing trials of reform school together in Florida. Man, I kept hearing about this movie and I hadn't seen anything on of it. And technically, this is the second trailer because this movie was supposed to release originally in October, and it got pushed back to December, I guess, trying to make the most of an awards push. Yeah, it's still kind of in limbo right now, but it has, like I said, it has a lot of buzz about it, and this trailer kind of, I thought, was rather stunning. It seems to be directly told through first person perspective.
Yeah, a lot of the trailer felt very POV-esque, where but then some moments it kind of broke that, and then it returned. But it also felt like it wasn't just from one character. Sometimes it gave the illusion that, hey, we're in someone else's POV now.
Yeah, it was interesting. It took me off guard, and at first, I thought the cinematography looked gorgeous. And a lot of movies have tried doing a POV perspective, and sometimes to great effect, sometimes not so much. But this looked like it would be pretty emotional and engaging. So all that to say is this was the first thing I've seen about this movie. So it really kind of hit a chord for me. So I'm 100% on board, and I wish I had it on my movie list, and I'll try and sneak it in maybe. But it looks visually stunning. It's
currently in theaters now, so I think they're just doing another push for it on the trailer. So Nickel Boys push. So check that out. We got another trailer here, Ed.
Yep. All right. Do you like Steven Soderbergh?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I do too.
Do I like Fassbender? Oh yeah. Do I like Kate Blanchett? Oh yeah.
There you go. That was my follow-up 2 questions. So they've got a little movie coming out in March called Black Bag, where a married couple who I had it pulled up. I'm sorry. Hang on. I do have a plan here. There we go. I'll just read the synopsis from IMDb. When intelligence agent Catherine Woodhouse is suspected of betraying the nation, her husband, also a legendary agent, faces the ultimate test of whether to be loyal to his marriage or his country. I mean, like you pointed out, I love all the players in this. Naomi Harris is also in it. Pierce Brosnan, Tom Burke, who most people know from Furiosa earlier this year. Jean Page, and a few other people. But yeah, Steven Soderbergh, man, if anything, he's just one of those directors who's consistent. I don't think I've ever seen a movie of his where I was just like, oh, I fucking hate that. He did, for a period there, have like straight to Max or HBO movies. No Sudden Moves was one of his more recent ones. We talked about it. It had like Don Cheadle, Benicio del Toro, Matt Damon was in it briefly, but he does these like quirky little movies. I don't know. This looked fun. I'm here for this one. Just a little espionage, almost like a riff on Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Whether it goes to
I think
those
that's
lengths.
the only thing is like it looks great and it's a great cast, but the similarity to Mr. and Mrs. Smith is so close that it's a little bit like
if they don't end up having this kind of like intense / hot fight at the end. What?
No, I think it just needs a little bit of a different. Like I need a little spin to it. I need a little bit more extra than that. It seems like we're reskinning that plot and story with this one.
Sure.
We're upscaling it a bit. But I think I just hope that there's something else to it besides, we're doing Mr. and Mrs. Smith again in a modern version. I would go
as far as to say Steven Soderbergh is definitely that kind of director.
Yeah,
maybe. Yeah.
Keeping it under wraps. What the
just like it appears straightforward until it's not. But yeah, we're kind of like in this like little Michael Fassbender resurgence right now. So I'm eating it up, and
trying to clean the Magneto off himself.
And Kate Blanchett is just kind of having fun doing whatever, just checking off boxes of.
Yeah, she's doing that Apple TV show.
Yeah, with Alfonso Cuarón.
Disclaimer. Yeah,
and she just did like this other quirky movie.
Borderlands?
No. Well, thank you for pointing that one out. Yeah, like I said, she's having fun. A little movie called Rumors that apparently is crazy. But yeah, she's really just doing her thing right now. Like she was the monkey in Pinocchio.
Oh yeah, that's crazy.
She's just doing her thing. She's living her best life, and I'm here for it. And her alongside Michael Fassbender can only be a good thing. But yeah.
Whoa, I never even heard of this movie Rumors. Now that you talk about it.
Yeah,
it's a comedy horror film?
You should watch the trailer for it. It's fucking wild.
Is this out already?
Yeah,
did you watch it?
No, I didn't watch it, but I kept hearing about it, and I saw the trailer. So,
whoa,
yeah, it's one of those zany like art house comedies that just kind of.
I love me a zany little comedy.
So yeah, Black Bag coming to theaters March 14th. It's nice to see Soderbergh back at the theaters.
Agreed.
You know what isn't going to be in theaters, Luis?
A
little Max show you might be familiar with. The White Lotus. It's coming back. After starting out as a limited series that grew into 2 seasons, is now 3 seasons.
3 seasons.
So here,
and it's still written and directed by Mike White, all one guy.
He was like, "What else am I doing?"
If you don't know who he is, he's if you don't know who he is, he's the friend of Jack Black in the School of Rock movie. That's who Mike White is.
He was also
he's the one who impersonates Mr. Schneebly in the movie.
That's right. It's been it's been a long time since I've seen School of Rock.
I know. I watched that one pretty regularly. Anyway, White Lotus, they're in Thailand this time.
And the cast includes Walton Goggins, Michelle Monaghan, right? Carrie Coon, Leslie Bibb, Jason Isaacs, Parker Posey.
Nice.
As some more, but I'm like.
Patrick Schwarzenegger?
Yes. Yeah, sorry. IMDb has them all mixed. So
Yeah,
makes it all
absolutely. I think this one has like a lighter lift in the past couple seasons as far as like stars go. But I think Thailand is the perfect new place to go, and we're following the story of that masseuse,
Yes.
right from season one.
Season one, yep. I'm trying to pull her up. That would be nice. Natasha Rothwell plays Belinda Lindsay. I was wondering, watching this trailer, like, is she going to be the, the fish out of water, like Jennifer Coolidge character?
I think so.
Like, she's the one who's enjoying the vacation. Despite,
well, no, she's isn't she staffed here now? Isn't she working here as a masseuse?
I got the impression she was like on vacation, but maybe she is.
Oh, okay.
I might be wrong. Look, after the second season of White Lotus, I was kind of a mind that I didn't want to watch anymore if they ever came out with more. Not that I thought, I thought it was a bad show, but it just like left me feeling icky.
Okay, gotcha.
Like, I liked the cast and everything, but just overall, it's just like everybody's a piece of shit. And
yes, that's the whole thing. Is everyone? Is a piece of shit.
I enjoyed the first season solely for the original hotel manager, who was just like a revelation to me. Armand, played by Murray Bartlett, he was fucking fantastic, and I could have watched a whole series based on his character alone. But spoiler alert, they kill him in the first season. So that was a bummer. Because I like I said, I could have it could have been a whole Fawlty Towers kind of deal with him dealing with the shittiest of guests from season to season. Damn, I should be a writer. But the second season really rubbed me the wrong way. So, I could take or leave any more White Lotus. The one person, and I mean, it's a good cast overall, but the one person who really just piques my interest for this season is Parker Posey, who I love.
Interesting.
I'd go for bat for her any day. But she, I love her. I think she always does really interesting, crazy, funny characters. And she does it well. So it would be, those two worlds colliding would be interesting to see. But beyond that, it's hard for me to get super excited about it.
Yeah, I think Walter Goggins, I'm going to dig a lot here.
I do like Walter Goggins too.
I think I'm excited for this show. I enjoyed the first two seasons. And is he going to kind of play similarly to the other ones? Yes, but I'm okay with that. This feels like kind of in some weird way like a funny, good-looking, cozy show for me.
Sure.
These terrible people are doing terrible things. How lovely. Let me get my blanket and wrap myself up.
I mean, I thought the first season was funny, but the second season felt humorless and just painful for the characters. Not really getting a lot of fun out for anyone.
Well, that one dealt with a lot, since it was so sex focused, it dealt with relationships a lot more. And so there was those moments when
paranoia So I mean, but it is a very popular show. Obviously, it got a lot of awards those first two seasons. Everybody loved Jennifer Coolidge. So I don't know. Maybe it'll be good. And I'm a FOMO kind of guy. So if people start saying "Oh, you got to watch it," maybe I'll throw it on.
This is like when you go to a nice restaurant, you're like, hey, let's go there again. This is kind of how it feels for me.
I know what I'm getting.
With White Lotus, yes, I know what I'm getting. It's a little bit different, but it's still the same.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, so that starts. I don't know when.
Sorry. It starts February 16th.
There you go, on Max.
Yes, on Max. And then we have our last trailer here, Death of a Unicorn.
Yes.
This trailer just came out, right?
And I was going to ignore it, but then I watched it and it tickled me pink. So this is another movie from A24 who can do no wrong. And starring Paul Rudd, amongst others. God damn it! What?
Jenna Ortega, Taya Leone, Will Poulter, Richard E. Grant, Anthony Carrigan, Sunita Mani, Jessica Hines, and Steve Park.
And Anthony Carrigan from Barry.
Anthony Carrigan.
Yep.
Yes.
It's basically father and daughter duo Riley and Elliot hit a unicorn with their car and bring it to the wilderness retreat of a mega wealthy pharmaceutical CEO. This trailer just looks like a lot of fun. I don't know. What did you think about it?
Yeah. I loved this trailer. I think this is, last week I was ranting about how there's not so much originality out there and how we're just repeating things and recalling things and like, oh, look at that Easter egg. I feel like this is going the other direction where it's completely wacky and crazy and weird and funny. And I like weird movies like this.
That's way that A24 knows how.
Yeah. It looks like it's going to be weird. It looks like it's going to be funny. It looks like it's going to be terrifying. The cast is very quirky and it looks good as well.
Does.
So I am excited for this movie. I'm also wondering if do you think Miguel would like this movie, or do you think it'd be too weird for him? Like he's like, I don't know.
I don't know. It could be.
I was thinking maybe a no.
I think he could be persuaded into it. I don't think
persuaded into it, but initially he wouldn't.
I think he would be like, it's not my bag. Yeah, but maybe the humor. There's one line that I'm blanking on now, but Tia Leone said something that just cracked me up, and I was thinking, even in my head in that moment, I was like, "That's a Miguel line," Just
okay, yeah.
I think maybe the humor might grab him.
Yeah.
So I don't know. He might be up for it. He might not be, but maybe we could talk him into it. We'll see. Trick him into it. Maybe if we go and see Wicked, we'll give him a tradesies.
Funny enough, I was looking up the music. The music is composed by 3 people.
Oh.
Daniel Davies, Cody Carpenter, and John Carpenter.
As in the director?
Yes, the director of Halloween.
Interesting.
Yeah, he also made he also composed the music for Halloween itself. So he is also composing this thing as well.
Good for him.
Yeah, I was like, oh, what a fun little nugget of trivia there.
Nice. Well, that movie will be coming out sometime next year. I don't think they gave a proper date, but
they say early 2025.
Yeah. So check out the trailer. It's fun, and you'll know right away if this movie is for you or for not. But I mean, Paul Rudd, America's leading man right now. Kind of, I guess. Everybody loves Paul Rudd. All right, that's trailers.
Amazing. Let's move on to our feature discussion. We're zooming in here. Today we're talking about Emilia Perez. This is directed by Jacques Audiard. I don't know how to pronounce it. Jacques Audiard. It stars... He's French. He's French. Okay, this all makes sense now. It stars Carla Sofia Gascon, Selena Gomez, Zoe Saldana, Edgar Ramirez, and Adriana Paz. This is about a Mexican lawyer is offered an unusual job to help a notorious cartel boss retire and transition into living as a woman, fulfilling a long-held desire. She does that, and then, life continues on.
Yep.
I don't want to spoil too much.
We will be in this review.
We will be spoiling it, but just to start off, Ed, initial thoughts.
Okay. A little context, this movie premiered at Cannes. Got audiences talking for a long time, and it was clear that this was going to be up there in the Oscar conversation. So, of course, it had my attention. But what threw a lot of people off was it is also a musical.
Yes.
It is by Netflix. And yeah. So I didn't realize until halfway through that I'm actually a really big fan of Jacques Audiard. I say a really big fan. He's got 2 movies.
Well, he's also working on a DC movie.
Nice. Hey, fingers crossed. No, I'm a really big fan of the Sisters Brothers, but also in particular Rust and Bone.
Okay.
both great movies. I would recommend anybody see it. But yeah, so I made that.
Do they feel similar from those, like the movies that you saw? Those two movies. Do you feel like they have the same DNA as this movie, or is this something where he's like completely trying something new?
I would say like the musical aspect for sure.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I think the themes and the tone of it, maybe. That, like, when I realized that, I was like, okay, that makes sense.
What about the performances? Like the way he directs the performances?
Ooh, no, it feels
kind of similar.
It feels very different in that.
Okay.
Yeah. Again, purely maybe just because it's a musical, and I think instinctively this is more theatrical in that way. I do want to point out for anybody who'd be like, oh god, a musical, it's not that kind of musical. It is not like a showy musical. There's no build up to each number,
so much so that it takes me a little bit of a while to get used to what's happening.
Yeah,
it's not what's typical, and so there were some pieces or some like segments where I was like, oh, I don't know if I like this so much, but there were some cool, very visuals that was attached during those musical moments, and none of them feel like I don't know, like, ooh, I'm in the kitchen and I'm repeating the song while I'm cooking. Showstoppers, but they are in their own right. And has he done this before in his past movies? Do you know?
No.
Okay.
Again, I've only seen those two. So I could be just like talking shit right there. But no, again, as far as that goes, it doesn't feel familiar. And maybe that's why it was so surprising when I realized what other stuff he had done. It's an interesting film. Like I said, it's not a typical musical, which maybe almost I'm glad for. It felt very original in the way that it kind of just flows into song and then right back out of it and just carries on without making it a big show-stopping thing.
It feels very much in the sense where, like, I am overwhelmed with emotions, so I'm going to let it out.
Like this, I'm processing this in my head, and this is how I'm expanding.
That great, process in your head.
Especially, I feel like with Zoe Saldana's character who plays the lawyer.
Because sometimes, like, they'll do the musical part, and it won't progress the plot forward in the sense where we're now in a new setting, in a new area. Right. You'll actually kind of go back to where the beginning of the song is and going back to that where the conversation ended and starts again. So it is very much like their state of mind.
It's all like personal moments that are being like sung out as opposed to just acting it out, I guess, for lack of a better term. But like the story will be progressing on the outside whilst this person stops to have their musical moment, and it might be because I don't speak Spanish, so it's not like these songs are instantly connecting to me because I'm having to read it as it's sung, and it's not like these like catchy show tunes that have a chorus in the middle, that go back to it or whatever. You're not whistling a tune when you leave. It really is just this mental depiction of it, I guess. But so for that, I was kind of grateful because it made things interesting, and it really kind of did a good job of pulling me in. And I didn't get to watch it in the theater, which having seen it, I wish I had.
Right.
It's a very visually striking film. So I'm glad that it was that engaging. It could be, especially streaming from home, you could lose your audience like that real quick. And again, with a foreign language film too, there are big chunks of it that are in English, but overall it's mostly Spanish.
Spanish.
But I feel like Overall, I think I did like it. I see why people are buzzing about it. I can also see why it's been divisive for some audiences. I do feel like this movie doesn't exactly know what it's trying to say about certain topics or things, specifically about the trans struggle, or even the Mexican struggle, with cartels and corruption and stuff like that. But in that, it's also a story very much about identity, and whether you're trying to be someone new or not, and whether you can shake off who you were.
Yes, that's a huge part of it, is if you can shake who you were, and no matter what you do to change yourself, when push comes to shove, when the main things you really love and worried about are stripped away from you, your true self kind of comes out
exactly.
again.
Yeah, and we do see
and you can't really escape your past sometimes as well, and so it just puts our main protagonist in a predicament. Well, I guess
I think the biggest predicament is really for the audience, is like how are we supposed to feel about Emilia Perez, who she, in her past life, was a drug cartel, which by definition they have killed a lot of people. A lot of people have disappeared under their orders, kind of thing. A lot of horrendous shit. And you're asked the question, like, can you just shake that off? Like, just because you found your true self doesn't mean that you've washed away the past. And it takes an interesting turn in that she starts to try and remedy some of that loss through organizing, reconnecting families with their lost ones, whether they're dead or not, just giving them that sense of peace and comfort. But at the same time, we as an audience know that she is the cause.
She's the cause of it all.
So you've got this kind of like moral complexity behind it all. And Zoe Saldana, her character is kind of her character is very interesting too, I think, because for the same reasons. She is kind of, in one sense, she's pulled into this situation that she isn't really given an option to. It's like by accepting, or rather, like hearing is accepting. So, like, once you hear the proposal, you've accepted it, and you've got to do it. If you don't, I don't know, we might just kill you, kind of thing. So, and that's an interesting thing that goes throughout the whole film, is they keep Emilia Perez, and I think this is what attracts me most about the film, is that it is that moral ambiguity of like appreciating and wanting her to come out on top, but at the same time realizing that she was and potentially is a monster still, and is prepared to do whatever kind of fucked up shit to get what she wants.
Exactly.
That's all it comes down to. But it's like, so, and I want to say, we're getting into like performances now and stuff. So, but like Carla Sofia Gascon, it's really very like good. Like she kind of, you're excited for her. You get her on board with her dream.
Yes.
But then exactly. She terrifies the shit out of you the next moment. And it's just like a brilliant little back and forth that again was unexpected for me. I didn't. You could have gone into this movie expecting anything, but that was
just to go. Yeah, like honestly, when I watched this movie, I forgot that it was a musical, and I knew that Carla Sofia Gascon was in it, and I was just waiting for it to show up. So as I'm playing the movie, I was like, "Oh, we're singing now. Okay, here we go. That's right, I forgot." Yeah. And then she goes and meets the drug cartel lord, and she gets like snuck away. They put a bag over her head. They put her in a van while they're moving, and it's this really intimidating drug cartel lord, like this kind of patchy, beardy, oily hair and looking like, evil looking face. And then he's just asking, I need this favor. I need to do something for you. And he says, I want to be a woman. And then I was like, whoa, I forgot that this is what this movie was about. So it took me a second to like it just took me out. I was like, okay. This is what this movie is. I'm digging it. Here we go. Let's keep going on. And throughout that whole movie, I felt like, okay, what else do you have? What else do you have? I always felt entertained with each little scene.
Yeah.
They came and came and came. I never was like, oh, when is this going to end? Or I know exactly what's about to happen. I feel like I really didn't know what was going to come next. And I appreciate that.
And I appreciated too that despite all the themes that they do touch on, it never felt preachy.
Yes.
I think, again, there's this moral ambiguity that just kind of hangs over it, and you're just kind of like, who am I rooting for, and what am I supposed to take from this overall? But like you said, from scene to scene, it just really engages you because you don't know how these people are going to act or react. Just because, again, like it's like Zoe Saldana's character is the audience. She whenever she meets Emilia Perez after her operation 4 years later, her first thought is like, "You've come to kill me." And that's our thought too. Is like, but then you start to learn more about her, and like, yes, she is a woman freed of her manly bonds, if you will, and is enjoying life in a whole other. But no, she gets sucked back into her previous life, which was always going to be a fine line. But yeah, you never know what's going to come of that. But like you said, it keeps it interesting. And where the musical aspect works so well is that, like, when it is in the more emotional scenes, at least for me, those they really just kind of hit an emotional chord, you know, at least for me, because of what they were saying. You're focusing so much more on the words because they are in another language and you're reading it. And it's really quite touching, some of the things that they're singing out loud. Like when we first meet Emilia as the cartel, and when he starts singing about what he dreams of, and, you know, you're just like, oh, damn. Okay, so like there is a human in there buried down. It's not just like a superficial thing.
And there's that part where it's before she transitions, when she's the drug lord, he's like, I'm unable to enjoy things. I'm unable to sing or whatever. And even the way that this character's singing, it's kind of mumbly a little bit, you know? And then when we go back and we see her after she's transitioned, she's kind of like
belting it out
and letting loose. And so we get to see that kind of arc even through the singing.
And when she was talking, well, the shift is like, it used to be this growly, low, almost like a whisper. Yeah. That was, again, very like chilling in a way. But then disarming when, you hear her sing for the first time, and then to shift into this very, like you said, belting out just lyrics and words, and, you know, it's a curious little film. And like, if anything, you gotta love it for its originality.
Ed, that's what I was sitting back and I was like, oh my God, I love that this is so original. I'm not getting any callbacks. I'm not getting any Easter eggs. Like, this is just like the story, you didn't know and it's a character study. Go. Yeah.
And even if you did towards the end, I mean, I don't know about you. I was pretty surprised at where things went. If anything, like the story moves along at a rapid rate.
Yeah.
It is like it doesn't dally. It just moves right into it, and it goes through every step very quickly. And before you know it, you're in this kind of climactic scene, and you don't even realize it. You're just like, "Oh shit, this is what's happening," kind of thing. So, like it moves. It feels like it moves quickly, and I don't know if that's like a bad thing or not. Like, there are maybe some things that could have been fleshed out more, but then I wonder, like, well, then would it get a little too tiresome? It's a very fine line, again, because it's not a traditional musical where you're building everything to this crescendo. It's more
Right,
just
yeah.
like, again, you're dealing with these more intimate and personal moments, either like between two people or inside someone's mind. And so it doesn't, I mean, there is like a slight crescendo at the end with the people. But yeah, it just like, it kept me guessing the whole time. And like I said, I was pretty engaged the whole way.
I feel like sometimes this is, I wonder if Martin Scorsese would watch this movie or what his thoughts are on it, because it just feels kind of reminiscent of some of his movies where it's a character study and it's his character who's just kind of like taking this new path. They're trying to better themselves in another way.
100%.
And then life kind of catches up. But whenever he does those movies, like you kind of know where it's going, but you really don't know where it's going. You just kind of take it step by step with him until you start seeing all the pieces. Yeah. And then it ends, you know, because it is just, hey, this is the character. This is the truth. This is what they're going through. We're not trying to make them into a hero or to a villain. We're just telling you what the human experience is. And if it makes you feel something, well, isn't that a funny thing? You know, to feel compassionate with a person who's been killing all these other people now, you know, like it's all just bringing up interesting questions, interesting feelings, and just an original experience that I was able to stay entertained with. So I think I did enjoy this movie as well.
I think I would give it a solid 4 out of 5. I feel the ending murked, is that real? Muddied it a little bit. Not muddied it like necessarily in a bad way. I felt like it was effective. Maybe if only like a little abrupt.
Dude, it was so abrupt. So spoiler alert, after they like fall off that cliff, and I was like, oh no, that's not good. You know, maybe they survived, maybe they didn't. And then the camera just is on the tail light and it kind of zooms in for a long time and it's just pushing and pushing and pushing. And then it just explodes. I'm like, oh, okay, I guess they're dead. Just answers that question. I don't know if you felt the same way, but I was like, they're going to come out of the car. She's going to bump out.
Or like, I thought like
immediate big explosion.
I thought, I mean, that's a pretty like hard crash. I watched it twice, by the way. I rewatched it again today.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, like I expected like the trunk to flop open and to get out or whatever. But yeah, no, fuck it. No.
Fuck everyone's gone.
And then Zoe Saldana takes the kids.
Is left with the pieces. She's left. Yeah, she takes the kids. She's just left with which is
wild.
You know?
Yeah, it was. And then Emilia dies as this kind of like hero, like this local hero, which is again such a interesting way to end it on.
Well, and then you have her reconnecting with her wife again, you know, with Selena Gomez, where she reveals, she finally reveals herself to her. And I was wondering like, man, when is this going to happen? When is this reveal? And then it becomes very touching and she's like, stop the car, get out of the car. And so there is kind of that they come back together again, even if it only lasted for
a moment.
A moment.
It's that last act is definitely wild. It went. I mean,
also, why did they start shooting? Why did they come out and start shooting them immediately? They're like, we're gonna hide. Just kidding. Boo, 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 boo. And I was like, that part confused. They're just like little questions. I'm like, well, like they went. Like, why are they doing this? Why do they do that? And maybe if they added more story time, but there were a lot of moments where I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's just keep going with the story.
I mean, even that driving sequence looked a little sketch, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm, 100%. It almost felt like a little rushed. It was like, Zoe, just look over there and they'll notice that those guys are just hanging out right there and no subtlety whatsoever. And then, everybody just starts shooting. But
after they went all that way to hide, they're like, we're just going to come out and start shooting. You know, like it didn't matter.
Exactly.
You know?
Like, why not just pull up and go ball to the wall?
Yeah. It does make me interested to see his next movie. You know, I'll say
I
that.
would implore you and anybody listening who are open to it, go back and seek out Rust and Bone. It's a beautiful movie with Marion Cotillard. She is a orca trainer at like a French equivalent of SeaWorld or whatever, and due to an accident, she loses her leg. legs.
Oh, interesting.
And then kind of starts this connection with a kind of like Street Fighter. So
I mean, that's what I mean. Like, I wouldn't have even thought of a story like that. But here we are, and that's what I'm digging.
Grizzly, but it's a beautiful film. I love it. I haven't seen it in a few years. I have the DVD. Yeah, I've got the.
It looks like it's on Prime Video. So if you want to stream it,
I would give it a watch. It's a beautiful film. And then The Sisters Brothers with Joaquin Phoenix and John C. Reilly. That's a fun little Western.
It's a Western comedy.
Yeah, comedy is a word.
Okay.
It's just one of those movies that, yes, it is funny in the sense that it's just giving like a bare bones portrayal of the Old West, and just like how kind of fucked up it is, and just like how easily people got maimed or hurt or whatever, and it just kind of it's both movies are a little depressing. I'll say that. So don't go into it expecting like a laugh riot. It's not.
What's funny is I went on Google, and it says, they have these like preset questions that you could open up and see. They say people who ask, is The Sisters Brothers worth watching? And the first sentence I read is a delightful tale of familial ties balanced well with a slick cat and a mouse yarn. So I don't know if that sounds right. This is on the Roger and Ebert.
Oh my God, wanky.
Before. Well, also, I wanted to point out in not those about to die. Sorry. Only Murders in the Building. There are these characters called the Brother Sisters.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, wait. Have you seen this new season?
No, I haven't. I mean, so have you yet to get more into that show?
Okay. Well, sorry. It's a little spoiler. It's not a big spoiler, but I thought it was funny how this is the Sisters Brothers, and then those are the Brother Sisters. Yeah. All right. Well, hey, that was Emilia Perez.
I did text Miguel. I was just like, Miguel, I don't think you would hate this movie. I think you and Kristen both would find it pretty interesting and pretty engaging.
Yeah.
And it moves so quickly too. Again, like it really doesn't linger on the musical element or the melodrama. It's just an interesting film, very interesting, and like thought-provoking, and like nothing about it made me mad, or you know what I mean? Like it was just a very well-constructed movie. I loved a lot of the shots, the little crossfades that they had, like that opening one of the mariachi, and then fading into the city. That was very effective, and then that song where the victims or the relatives of the victim started singing, and it was just
dude, that looks
all
so
those
good.
faces and the black screen,
they look like the business that she was running to help find all these people again was called like Little Light, in Spanish, Lucita, whatever it is, but I knew it was like Little Light. And so when they did that musical segment of just like the floating heads with a light on them, and then you zoom out and you see like all these like lot of heads, they look like little lights. And they, it's very human emotion feeling. And then that fades into the city, and the city is filled with lights too. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. I wonder if they meant to do that. And then they hold on to that shot for like 10 or 15 seconds. And I was like, oh, they know what they're doing. I feel like it's a contrast of like these human lights, and then now we're going to the real dirty of like city life lights. And I think there's just that two contrasts was being played throughout.
And it's an interesting thing. I went into this movie thinking it was like such a like Spanish or Mexican story, like driven story, and then realizing that it's directed by a Frenchman, but it's like so intimately intertwined with that culture.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's a white guy talking about that. So like, I'm sorry if
I felt like it did too. I mean, I'm not like,
but I think it captured
living in Mexico all the time, but it did capture it.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought it came from like a real place. I don't know how to describe it, but it's interesting. Just interesting. One of the most interesting films of the year for sure. What do you think about? Okay, so out of the, I'll wrap this up, but like the Cannes circuit, obviously this has been out on Netflix for a little while, and we're still getting over this fucking Wicked craze. But like, you know, for a while there, Zoe Saldana was in talks as the front runner for Best Supporting Actress, and then there was even the conversation that she was a lead actress and yada yada. And then, of course, leading for Carla Sofia Gascon, and then maybe supporting for Selena Gomez. For Selena Gomez, I don't really see that happening, especially in a crowded year as it's turning out to be. But man, I would love it if Zoe Saldana got, and to quote Miguel here, got her flowers.
Yes.
Just not just because she's overdue for some sort of recognition, but she was great in this, I thought.
She was fantastic. I was like, oh, I love her. You know, when she comes on screen.
She's so good. And her transition too, from like this like lawyer's assistant who has to come up with this bullshit that she knows is bullshit, that just like justifies all these murders and shit like that, to becoming her own woman, but then kind of getting pulled back in. But like, yeah, I thought she was so good. And she, for me, I mean, Emilia Perez obviously is the core of the film, but like, she is like the emotional, and again, she's the audience. Like, we're going along with her, so it's like you're emotionally tied to her and what happens to her. So yeah, I really, at the very least, I hope that she comes out on top this awards season. I know
that would be very cool.
Everybody's talking about Ariana Grande and yada yada, but like,
is she coming out? I guess they're going to put her as supporting instead of lead.
Zoe Saldana.
Yeah.
Supporting, and then Cynthia Erivo is the lead.
Okay, gotcha.
So, and again, Carla Sofia Gascon, I thought did an amazing job. So I would love to see some recognition going her way too. Yeah.
All right, check out Emilia Perez on Netflix. Yep. I'm going to actually cut this podcast a little short, Ed.
You got Taco Bell waiting?
I've got to go. I've got to get going. We all got to get going. The holidays are coming up, so we have to start prepping for all of those things and changes. But tune in next week when we talk about probably some holiday stuff. Hopefully we'll do a podcast. I know next week is Christmas, so we might take a little break, I think, for everyone just to celebrate the holidays. But if we don't come back next week, we will definitely come back the week after. And I believe that's going to be potentially our live episode where we're all together. Potentially. I haven't looked at the calendar. Okay. Yeah. We don't know when we're going to do it, but we'll do it. And I think that episode will be all of us together laying on your couch, with your dogs. Yeah. But yes, everybody, thank you so much for listening. It's been me, Luis Gonzalez, and with me's Ben. And until next time, later, Gators. Aw.